Still something.
Cool. We're live. Having a few sips before we get started. Hello to those joining the live stream. I see you. Feel free to drop a comment and say hello. Odna, we may have to mute you while you're not speaking, just to minimize the interference. Perfect. Good morning for those of you who are joining us in the US on the East Coast through the West Coast, and good afternoon/evening for those of you who are in Egypt, like Odna and beyond. Okay, ready to get started. Here we go.
Ready to embrace the magical side of life, where anything is possible and the infinite is accessible to all? Let's have a conscious conversation about what's going on in the world, in your life, and your relationship from the expanded perspective of your soul. The path to awareness begins and ends in the heart. So let's take it there, one step at a time, and learn to cultivate magic in your life every single day. In each episode, we share a collective space in which we discover the unique facets of our own magic and embody our superhuman qualities by humbly exploring how it's super simply to be human. Hosts Kai and Dell co-create a magical experience to remind you that you are magical as fuck. Now, be unleashed. This is our daily magic.
Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of our Daily Magic. I'm Kai, and this is
Dell.
And we're going to be interviewing a very special person who, good morning, who I'm going to introduce, and then she'll join us on screen. Awesome. And her name is Odna. And Odna is a performance artist. She's a director, she's a choreographer, she's also a healing guide whose work focuses on reconnecting with the wisdom of the body and cosmic origin through embodied explorations of the human potential. Her performance credits include MoMa PS1, if you've ever been out there in Queens, New York City Fashion Week, Luma Festival, Dixon Place Theater, Moniker Art Fair, Got to Dance TV show, just to name a few. Over the course of 5 years, based on a lifelong movement research and a professional dance training in New York City, Odna has created the SE movement method. Her teachings help to reconnect with a vessel on a somatic level, to open up our intuitive potential and to explore the journey of conversations within the body, welcoming all aspects of the self, while fulfilling her artistic mission of self-expression and igniting a revolution through evolution. She shares her healing gifts in private sessions and group settings. Her healing abilities have been professionally trained in the US and expanded in Egypt, where she's been a student of Sharzad. You're going to have to pronounce this for me, Odna, of the biomagnetic touch healing method, and also the sacred chematology school. That's pretty cool. As a traveling artist, she welcomes and receives creative and healing work invitations, and she is here to talk to us about her upcoming Embodied integration program. And this program is here to guide and assist you on a journey to embodiment of all that you truly are, to help you retain your connection with the higher self, the source, and fall in love with the process, to hone your galactic awareness and explore multidimensionality and telepathic communication in a healthy way. Welcome, Odna. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Hello.
Hello, how perfect.
I lost your internet because of my Egyptian sun is really intense and the temperature is really intense, and my phone went on a whole overdose of solar power, but I think we're gonna be good now.
Perfect. So we've given you, yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. This amazing, lengthy introduction about your credentials, your travel around the world, and how you've been featured in all of these amazing platforms. Can you tell us where this all started in your journey? How did you get here?
I mean, it started, I believe it all started before we come here. I feel like it starts right when we arrive, right when the soul merges with the body, and when we arrive and we're here, there's this sense of path that we already are connected to and that we keep exploring as we go. So definitely it started as I chose to incarnate in a human body, and it's been a wild ride. It feels like one lifetime consisted of so many different lifetimes in itself, because I had quite a bit academic path before I chose alternative healing and art as my main priority focus. And I got here as a process of embodied integration, basically, because it was a process of trusting myself more and more, and trusting my intuition more and more, and exploring different aspects of self that the way society is built to hold space for our growth did not allow to grow. So there was this search for alternative ways to answer questions that I had around the body, around the wisdom of the body, uh, around also especially how much the dance training gave me, and how much watching and being around dancers and dance community and contemporary movement research allowed me to explore and find within my body, and through that then access different states of consciousness just by dance, just by movement, and and higher and higher and growing sensitivity on the nervous system level, and also a sensitivity of alertness of all the senses, an ability to pick up and start hear more, start see sharper, start smell more intense, almost like a pregnant woman. Like it felt like I'm consistently growing the ability of my senses to sharpen through the movement and the practice and awareness meditation and all the different tools that came along. Yeah, definitely it was a journey of trial and error for sure too. There was a lot of trial and error, and seeing, perceiving, sensing, feeling, and redirecting and searching more. But the fun started when I really let go and started to feel the magic. I started to feel how the flow can take me, and how more and more I surrender, more magic can happen, more aligned for me people enter my life who have the answers for the question I seek, who can guide me further to deeper connection with my body. And all of it starts to make sense, like the puzzle starts to come together, and you start trusting more and more that alternative way of seeking answers or seeking yourself, um, or allowing the universe to play with you and have that conversation with the world, in which you feel how interconnected all is, how you're just part of everything and everything is part of you. And then the journey also started to be more internal and acknowledging that as much as playing outwardly is effective and fun, there's also a lot of playtime that is to be done internally and within the body. Does it answer the
I
question?
love it. Does in so many ways, and I gotta say that I love the phrase that you included, and that was revolution through evolution. And if you could just say like a little more about that and what that means in terms of, movement and the body and dance and awareness. I thought it was also really interesting that you put it in that order. So if you can talk to us a little bit about that phrase and what that means to you, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Revolution through evolution came through actually as a part of this short film manifesto I was creating in New York for maybe 5 years ago now. Wow. And it's actually very related to Corona and everything that happened with Corona. Because in this manifesto, there was the poem that I brought down through my vessel was very, there was a lot of anger for sure, that was mine, and collective, but it was calling for this global detox and um, bringing awareness to how much work we have to do, everyone on their own, everyone within themselves. That if we really want to create a change, we have to just focus on our own personal bullshit that needs to be taken care of. And also, we need to really witness ourselves within the shadow and on our own learn what tools, how to seek support, what environment is the environment that we can heal in and create, act with integrity. Um, and that kind of deep truth that was in my body, that was within the embodiment of the video, of the movement that I shared in the video, of the movement that I was creating with the ladies, a big group of ladies who are part of the video, that truth of that the only revolution that will truly change our current state of Earth is the one through evolution, and that evolution is the way of only way I feel that will bring the change we're seeking. Um, and evolution is a form in which we're just allowing evolution and revolution to happen through us, because Earth is an intelligent being and we're connected to Earth, we're part of Earth. And Earth knows how to save itself. Earth knows how to take care of itself. Earth knows and is connected within the intelligence of cosmos as well. So if we really allow ourselves to become vessels for that evolution to happen through us, igniting our personal gifts that we have, integrating the knowledge that we can acquire, and integrating the genius that each of us has, integrating the wisdom, and then allowing it to guide us and act from that space, then we can experience the revolution through evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And what's amazing is that watching your short film, which also we got to air, and the Magic Matter Summit, last year, which was just mind-blowing and so elegant and artistically done. It was great to watch you embody all of that. And there were some like staccato movements, that came through you when typically we would expect it to be, very legato and flowy. And, just to have the contrast of these two ways of being shown by you was to me the perfect demonstration of the revolution through evolution. It's just the continuing to grow and also accepting where we are in the moment. If it looks this way, great. If it looks that way, great, but still moving regardless. So I just want to thank you for that and the thoughtfulness that you put into all of the things that you create. It's definitely appreciated by me. And I also want to ask you too about the rise of the things that you are noticing here in this reality. If I were to ask you, what is the problem that you're solving by serving the people that you serve? You've talked about, the intelligence of the earth and how it knows how to take care of yourself, but there's clearly something that you're here to do. How do you dance with your purpose and also the self-sustainability of the earth and its inhabitants?
I perceive my role, or I feel my role, or I feel my purpose, or my part of the puzzle contribution to this grand, beautiful playground, theater, play, film, whatever you want to call it, however you perceive life, as exploring expression through movement and integration through movement, and also the potential here, I mean, expression in general, because now that I'm working more with voice, I still perceive it as like I'm dancing with my voice. Singing for me is a form of dancing with my throat, with my voice. It still feels connected more to dance than to an idea of singing, because I have no musical background whatsoever, at least not in this life. And I definitely feel that more and more, especially after the journey in Central Africa now too, that knowing how much through lifetimes dance and expression through movement has been part of my journey, that in this life it's like very coming through this birth canal of like reaching the essence of that expression through our life.
Yeah, she's frozen, and we're gonna patiently wait for her stream to come back, because this is an intriguing part, right? How do we get to be with the perfectness of it all and also still bring our message into reality and to be with the people who are looking for what it is that we have to offer? I'm really intrigued about what Odna has to say about this from her perspective. And also I'm looking at it from my perspective too. There is a perfectness about how everything works and how everything comes together, how everything is perceived. And also there's a room for us. There's room for what it is that we get to bring into this world. And there's also room for there to be a dynamic between what it is that we're bringing and what it is that the world, quote unquote, needs. I just want to get in a little bit deeper about this integration that Odna is offering and how that plays into that role, how it plays into that dynamic. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about that when she comes back, which should be in just a moment. But to continue thinking about that is really interesting. I'm also going to ask Odna about her world travels, because she's on the other side of the globe right now. from where I am personally, from where we are right now. And I've not traveled to those places on this earth just yet. And I'm intrigued to know how that has also influenced her journey, because as we heard in her bio, she's gone from New York City to where she is right now. So we'll get into that right after this question. But Odna, yes, please continue to tell us about this dance that you get to do with the purpose and also the self-sustainability of the earth.
Actually, I love that my phone decided to die again within the sun and gave me a moment to breathe and tune into my heart even deeper with the answer to that question of what is my part, what is my purpose. And this strong feeling came through my heart that was connected to how it's truly just expression of love. Like I chose and I am connected to this particular language of movement and body and exploring its potentiality. And it's just the language that feels the most authentic for me to express myself and express love. But I'm here to love, and I'm really here to keep falling in love with every aspect of being human, and explore being a human in general, and different layers of being human that we may have not been introduced to by our parents or society. And this permission that keeps growing in me, this permission to just be in love, like actually be in love with breath, with waking up, with sliding, with dancing, with crying, with all of it is so more and more tangibly growing in myself, that I start to also shift my perception about movement, because before it used to be this heavy mission, this heavy sense of I need to find, you know, like a crazy scientist, like I need to find the cure, I need to find this thing, and and I love the lab aspect of the way I approach movement, but I lost in a way through that madness of saving the world and feeling, you know, having the Messiah complex and reaching through that whole paradigm. I lost my own love for myself and for the craft and for life. I became so goal oriented. So I feel like this lifetime and this incarnation and this experience is truly one where I am allowing to just acknowledge that this is my gift, and as a gift it's a form of expression that I'm here to share, and all the fruits of this labor, whether it will be performance or whether I will materialize it more into a form of, you know, healing courses, or however it will evolve, it's as long as it's true to myself and comes from that expression of falling in love with the process and with all the little discoveries that I get to explore through it, then I'm doing it. You know, like I'm living my purpose. Um, and it does feel like, yeah, I was yesterday just at this meeting with they're called Creative Society, and it's a big group of people who are working around the world to really model a new creative society. And we were talking a lot about, hi Caesar, this is Caesar, everyone. It's not my cat, but holy shit, it's cute, right? And we were talking about different forms of and how much sport and movement is necessary for the evolution into creative society and well-being in general. Um, and speaking with them and talking about different alternative solutions and the urgency of the climate crisis that we're facing, I see where that creativity and potentiality of energy work, movement, performance, and merging all of those components together can be of ground importance and contribution to facing the crisis that we are facing right now. Because if we are already acknowledging that the main issue, or that the biggest value is the individual healing within collective context, then we need to focus on finding solutions for healing in the most efficient efficient, it sounds so wrong when we talk about healing and efficiency, but you know what I mean. Like we're at the crisis where as soon as we realize and connect, which I do believe can be that moment of experience in which you just realize, oh yeah, right, I'm part of Earth, and my body can connect to Earth, and I can feel and breathe with it, and I can work with all of this material that I have inside, and all of those needs that we currently have created based on consumerism to that degree will just fall. It's literally like you just shed that skin and you're like, you can wake up and be like, oh right, I don't need that. I don't need all of that. And all of a sudden you can make different choices. And really evolution and revolution is just by us making individual choices, making different choices daily. If we can make every day a choice that is less oriented towards egocentric consumerism and more towards all connected creative society in which we all are equal and individual at the same time, then in support of Earth also, then day by day we can make huge changes. And I see how big of a role embodiment and movement has to it, because you can then, what embodied integration program is about too is that I want to help people experience together this playground of allowing your soul to move you, allowing yourself to be moved by your soul, allowing yourself to make choices from the direct connection with your soul. And it's not an easy process. You would think it's easy, right? You think like, oh yeah, I can access my higher self in meditation. I can talk to my higher self. I mean, people have all sorts of experiences in which we all, we can claim that, oh, I get those downloads and I get all of this material, spiritual, beautiful fabric of the universe. But how much of it is actually then being our direct everyday experience? How much of it can we actually claim, say, and own that we lived it, that we are actually living that, all those lessons or all those informations? And it's not so easy, and it doesn't have to be, however, so hard to integrate it, and it doesn't have to be so hard on our nervous system. It doesn't have to be so hard on our mind, and we can do it together, and it can be extremely joyful and playful and also emotional for sure. Yet it can be really done, and I do believe in the power of group experiences and being able to be witnessed together in the process. Because also what I feel happens a lot when we have a very grand spiritual experience is that it isolates us. We feel like, well, now I have to carry this download. Now I have to carry and figure out how I'm going to share it with the world. Now I'm like burdened with this gift. And it's such an oxymoron, right? But it does happen for a lot of people. They feel like, holy shit, what I'm going to do. And I feel that we lack, at least in the experience I have, like having people from around the world getting together and going through also embodied practices where they can all play with that material, share it, but not necessarily share it, even if they're growing the seed inside of them. They don't want to share it yet, but they can be witnessed in the process of integrating it in self-expression. And of course, the biggest factor of why we can't integrate and why we have issues with it in the first place is because there is active part of us that does not feel it's safe to integrate all of this new information. And that is extremely important to address, because this is also what the main focus of the first few weeks of embodied integration program is. We are focusing on the aspect of self that is like, hell no, I'm not integrated shit. It's gonna make me isolated. Nobody's gonna like me. I'm gonna lose my friends. My family's gonna reject me. You know what I mean? Like, there's part of us that it's freaking out about integrating something that is so revolutionary for our current space and where we are in life. And it also, requires to sometimes face a lot of bullshit about current way we're dealing with everyday choices. And that's also not easy for the ego that just received this amazing download from the universe. And so I do believe that having a space for integration is being given just as much focus as the process of acquiring all those informations and experiences, spiritual experiences, plant medicine, group work, of ecstatic dances. All of those experiences are extremely helpful as long as you integrate them. If you don't integrate, it's like it never happened. Well, good physical, good workout, but
Now you're talking in my realm. I was like, ooh. So you were talking about embodiment and integration, and also just the importance of doing those stuff and the downloads from the universe. And as soon as you said that, I'm thinking like plant medicine. In which, like, having those plant medicine ceremonies in which you get those cosmic crazy information from the universe, and what can happen and happen in my own personal journey is getting this information and not integrating, and then going back and do plant medicine again, get all this information again, and then not integrating and doing the action with it. So I so resonate from where you're coming from with embodiment and integration, because it is definitely the most important thing to me. I feel is what is needed, because we can always get endless information, not even just from plant medicine, like YouTube or wherever information we can find stuff from. It's like, okay, here you go. You have this tools. Now, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like we literally at this point, I feel, especially with the rising of human consciousness and everyone finding their way into healing slowly but firmly, of course, from still privileged space of having access to internet and, electricity, but people are getting on the path of healing. And again, it will only go as far as the embodied practice goes with it, and embodied integration, because again, there's also people, you can go into extreme of nailing yoga and having your body can be a masterpiece of being ready to receive and embody all this knowledge, and you still might not embody it. And you still might be addicted to a workout, you might still be addicted to yoga as a means of escapism, and then you're still in a loop, and you're still making choices based on consumerism, buying products that are gonna make you feel better about your yoga perfect body and life. And it's been on my mind. It's been like a big puzzle that I was like kind of putting together. But for sure, again, plant medicine, because I was doing plant medicine in Gabon, helped me like have that grand puzzle come together, and also face my own bullshit. Holy shit, so much bullshit, around why I was not able to step into fully and actually do what I really want to do, and also like claim the artist in me, and okay, that there's all this potentiality of those performances, then make one. Like, just make one already, you have all those ideas and you always want to make one, then just do it. It's fine. Like, universe got you, that things will. It's so funny how much, also then accessing and wanting to share things, we really have to start applying them to ourselves, like before we go out and share, before we also it's good to collectively experience things and go through it, and we can open each other's arms to each other and be like, whoa, I'm integrating this major shit. Do you want to like work out in the morning together and with the intention of integrating it, or do you want to do those movements that will help us integrate? Now, here's where the movement magic comes in for me. My experience and what I'm downloading and working with is that there are actually movements that I've been receiving through dream work, through plant medicine, and also my trance states in the temples of Egypt, that are there are particular movements that help integrate exactly the connection between the endless potentiality of humanity. So the ability to tune into the world as anything possible in the universe, and then allowing your nervous system to still be human and be like, all right, okay, great, great, we can be anything and do anything, and that there's endless possibilities for every single problem in the world. Now, how can I be still human with it all? How is my nervous system even going to receive it? How is my nervous system that's been told its whole life that it needs to have a 9 to 5 and stable career and family and a dog? How is my nervous system now supposed to like, oh yeah, right, we can actually do all those things as a human being? And part of it is that you can create any reality you want. Like, you know what I mean? There's this dissonance inside of us. There's an inner conflict inside of us and the nervous system itself that also went through so much trauma to even be fully open to connect with earth on the level where it can receive that information and bring down that electricity, let's call it, for people who are not familiar with energy work. Like, imagine that you're just literally receiving so much electricity that you can burn, like you can burn your nervous system and be like, nah, now I'm done, I'm not working for you anymore, I'm going to be fried, I'm going to be in depression for the next 5 years and figure it out. So it's really important that we actually acquire tools that are necessary to be able to help the body in the process of not just integrating, well, integrating is very important, but even like preparing the body to receive what we want to receive so much, the downloads, the plant medicine journeys, the energy. Sitting in meditation can be such a different experience also if we allow ourselves to do embodiment work before meditation and then close it with embodiment. That has been transformational in my journey as well, you know, and using the movements that I've been receiving to acquire particular information and then close it and directly have an intention of integrating it already in the body. So it's similar to qigong, you know, and other martial art forms that has been created with certain intentions of protection. What these forms, what is the difference here with these forms is that there is much more freedom in movement, connected with more feminine approach to it. So as much as martial arts are very stable and beautiful, and I do it and I love it, and I'm so grateful for the tools that they bring. What I've been guided to do, create, and channel was much more connected with that feminine, very pleasurable, orgasmic movement quality and texture that feels like you're literally dipped in a honey and then just everything is going off of your body gently, and then there's just a million tongues licking you as you do it. I mean, it's quite intense, but it's it's very tantric, it's very orgasmic, it's very pleasurable, and that ignites also that fire of senses, you know, and our senses become more alerted and our senses can receive more information too. So for me, that's kind of where my personal evolution with movement was going, with trusting also the embodiment. And this is something that the Buti tradition in Gabon helped me witness from the outside so much, how much the tradition has been so old and since centuries, how much they trust embodiment, you know, and how precise the choreography of the embodiment is, and how much we can entrust. And if we do give that power to embodiment, it will have that power. And then so you can just do the embodiment to your best ability, following the guidance, and you can trust that it will take care of that aspect of your life you're entrusting it with. And that is really powerful, because that is also something that is a tool for the body itself to be like, oh, this feels good. It's not just my mind trying to tell me that I gotta do this and that and that this is going to be okay. This is like, actually, I'm participating in this, you know, like this is the body's like actually involved and it's doing things and feels good. And it can actually, the other thing is you are experiencing what each movement, how does it make you feel? And each movement will make you feel different. And each movement will give you a different information for your body. And each movement will open a different aspect of yourself that might be resistant to receiving so much pleasure from just being, which we're really just basically extremely desensitized of, because when we're really in that state of connectiveness and our senses are awakened, just breathing is orgasmic, you know? Like it just, you realize like holy shit, wow, I could just sit here and breathe all day and I'm gonna make myself feel good. But this is what I'm talking about too, you know. It's like when we have that in our nervous system, it's just like, wow, this is amazing, this is so fascinating, oh my god, I could just do that. And then you're human, you know. You still got to integrate it to your everyday experience and then let it run your everyday experience. So you create from that space and you're in that space. But unless you turn it into performance, no one's going to pay you for doing it.
And you've turned it into performance.
Yeah, I figured that, you know what? Since I am a performer and since this is the best way for me to share those things too, you know, like through performance. This is the best way for me to be authentically present with people and share it through direct experience. And also because I'm not doing it in the sense of, you know, I'm not really the artist. I believe in the art of improvisation and the power and the magic of improvisation. So what has been happening is I've been just training my body to become some aware that I can really be a pure channel as I do what I do. So my training is physical, but also metaphysical and spiritual. And in that sense, I the different states of consciousness I can acquire and I can go into also become shared medicine in the performance.
This is a great point that you're bringing up here. I'd love to ask you about, this movement that you've done across the global stage. You know, your resume of sorts, has pinpointed you in New York City, has pinpointed you in different places across the globe. And now you find yourself in Egypt and Cairo amongst the pyramids. How has the context, in which you're creating these masterpieces and these programs for instruction, how has that influenced what comes through you?
Definitely. I mean, I actually came back to Egypt after my visa expired in New York. I came to Egypt with a very intentional idea of creating this performance. And we were working also on a documentary with my teacher that we intended to do around dance and the connection with the temples. And Corona kind of shifted things a little bit for all of us. Yet I was basically in this deep research of how this land affects my body, how I move in the context of the landscape, in the context of also reparenting myself as I'm in this process. And it kind of started the process of this performance, which then evolved into just a new way of being for me and finding home in my body. But also the reparenting was really crucial because I found myself in Rasa Bugalum, which is a national reserve in Sinai. And I met Papa Sadek, who told me, "You're here, your only job here, you can stay here however long you want." Like we had a soul connection, soul contract. And, I do feel this, my soul was just able to be fully myself around him. Like I could sing, be as weird as I want, and do whatever expression wise was coming out of me, and it would be embraced, it would be witnessed, it would be not laughed. He actually would start like I would sing in my own language things, and he would try to mimic it by the fire. And like I felt just really like a certain level of being witnessed and held, that he became like a new idea for me of myself reparenting, to just actually be observant to my process and hold space for it. And he told me, it's like, you can stay here for however long, I just want you need to dance. Like you have to daily dance. You have to dance every day. If you're not going to be dancing every day, we're going to put you to work. But as long as you dance, that's your main work. And that was so healing. I cannot tell you how healing to hear that from somebody was. And of course, that was my inner child healing process, and I had to witness and be present with it. It's something that for those few months that I was in that process, I would go every day to the mountains, get naked, experiment, sing, the roar, and move my body, and just allow myself to feel all of me alone, where I didn't feel any pressure to be anybody or anything, and see how far my body can go, how much of a hike can I do being naked and fearing that Bedouin man is going to see me and deport me or any of that. So Egypt has become a playground for me to grow as an artist and as a human being, where a lot of work that I've created in New York, from the healing perspective that I have today, was driven by this urgency of I have to create, because if I don't create, I'm nobody. It was coming from lack. It was coming from space of, my parents didn't see me for who I was. I need to prove myself. And a little bit of that was present, which for sure worked. I mean, I've created more work I've ever created, but, it was definitely a strong push. But was I fulfilled throughout it? Was I going in the direction that I really wanted to go? Not really. And then unfortunately it only would go as far, because I would stop at the level where it would require me to actually feel my whole potentiality, and go further, and go through the abundance blocks and ask money for my performances and all of that. So I acknowledge that the healing journey that I was able to go through in Egypt, and also like the whole aspect of mysticism that opened here. New York was focusing on training and becoming the best dancer I can be, and finding my own movement voice. Egypt was, okay, I have this healing gift. I'm going to come here and I'm going to give some time to figure out what the heck is that? How am I able to heal people with my hands? What is going on here? And what else? How am I able to dance African dances I've never learned in my entire life? And they tell me it's particular steps from particular tribes. I was really curious what's going on, how is that possible, and I want to meet somebody who's going to be able to give me answers. So this is what kind of Egypt was, this gateway to go into a mystical world where you can easily experience magic, because this place is still so chaotic. There are laws, but there's also life. You know what I mean? Like, there's traffic jam, and there's traffic that apparently some Chinese scientists came to figure out how Cairo traffic works, and they gave up after 3 months. They were like, we don't know how it works, but it fucking works. We don't know how, excuse my language, but it works. And that's kind of for me a metaphor of Egypt and Cairo. Is like, you can't quite figure it out. It's a chaos. It's a divine chaos that works, which is what life is. You can't, with your human mind, try to come and figure it out, but people will make it happen. You follow your intuition and you don't get killed. It's a little bit like that. And now finally, also with branching into music, things are really coming together for me, and I see how landing also in Siwa, which is a paradise for empaths, and it's because of the salt in the soil, and the salt available, and the salt lakes, and the green and oracle temple. It's literally a paradise for my body, and landing there allows me to really tune into my potential through being held by earth in a way I've never felt to that degree held before. Like, I feel so held by earth there. It's like it's a pleasure to be me. It's a pleasure to activate my body there. It's a pleasure, and it's a gentle healing process. to heal my super sensitive body there. You know, I feel so held that it encourages me to share all the communication that comes from that relationship, share all the messages, information, the beautiful community that we're creating with some of my friends there. And I feel encouraged more and more to allow that personal evolution to just vibrate through and enjoy myself as I create, like actually now fully own myself, my body, my bullshit, and my gifts, and come into space of, you know what, I do have some masterpieces to create, and I do have amazing people around me to support me, and I do have amazing people to collaborate with, and this is the time that the earth needs our gifts at its highest potential. So let's just stop pretending we are little and have nothing to offer, and do what we're here to do, and actually encourage each other's genius as we witness it without minimizing it, you know, to be so inspired that when we see somebody brilliant we're like, whoa, this is amazing, how can I support you, and also thanks for inspiring me, I have so much to share as well, maybe we can support each other. Ow! The doggies, I'm sorry guys, there's two puppies and like seven cats in this house, so I'm not gonna talk to them, they're not gonna come back. Guys, what's going on?
No problem. What you shared was just so profound. You know, just really stop playing small and to take on that, you know, that role of being the role model, of literally being unleashed and letting what it is that your soul wants to express just come forward and be on the stage unapologetically and fully embraced by wherever it is that you are, and embraced by you. So embraced externally and internally. Now that's a statement for sure.
And to acknowledge that also it's a process, you know, and process that in which we're all together, like again the embodied integration process, in which sometimes we get an idea and we still haven't processed things, we still haven't maybe, you know, let it land in our body, and we also then dive into realization of or making it happen, but still the program hasn't been fully upgraded. So what happens is we're having this brilliant new baby, but we're coming to birth in the same way that we did before, that didn't lead to fruition, because we we didn't allow ourselves to fully receive ourselves in it. So to understand that what we need is also the process of integration, which means we need to connect with our soul in a way that we're going to learn how to really respond and make choices from that space, and that the gifts are there. But sometimes authentic expression is not authentic if we're coming from the space of just traumatized body that is screaming and reacting. You know, there's a difference that we need to acknowledge, that yes, I'm all for following body and I'm all for body wisdom, yet I had to also acknowledge that there are aspects of my body that react in certain ways or are guiding me to certain ways because I'm scared, because it doesn't feel safe, because I was taught or I experienced trauma that made me believe in certain ways. So there's difference between intuition, and there's difference between our body just telling us, I don't want to go outside ever, I just want to be home and watch Netflix and eat comfortable food, you know what I mean? Like there's difference in which we have to allow ourselves to start not just only go for the body, but also, what does my soul need? Okay, I get it, my body might need rest, but like, what does my soul need? Maybe there's a way for me to rest in a way that also honors my soul. Maybe I need to rest on the beach, or maybe I need to rest in the park, you know. Maybe it's not just about being in my bed for 10 days and calling it self-care, which, don't get me wrong, sometimes that's exactly what we need, and I've been there too, no judgment. Yet I'm just saying that it's important to in that process of reclaiming authentic expression and reclaiming our power and reclaiming our ability to shine, to acknowledge what is shining, what is actually right now coming through, and question things, but with curiosity, love, and tenderness, and not with that parental voice. That this is also what the embodied integration program puts a lot of attention towards, is recognizing different voices in our head and be able to address which soul voice is a soul voice, which voice is an internalized parental voice, which voice is a society school voice, which voice is a sexual trauma voice, and then be able to discern, connect with the voice we want to connect with. And the easiest, from my experience again, the easiest way to do it is through embodiment work and the alchemy of the magic of the embodied trance states, in which the body will then guide, the subconscious will guide the body to release those things that are holding those voices also captive inside, in the self-created prison of separation.
Got it. Got it. Wow. In these last few minutes that we have here, would you be so kind as to, just let us know if there was, maybe one key point that we could take away from all that you've shared today? I know this is an interesting distillation process, but one thing that a person could take away from this conversation, and also where they can connect with you and find out about your program.
Mm-hmm. Um, One thing I feel like everyone who will listen, as it is with my art or performances, everyone who will listen to this will receive whatever message is the most potent for them at this moment and at the time. For me personally, the most like the motto or mantra that I'm currently focusing on, and sensation and the body playground that I'm nourishing right now, is connected to really building a bridge between my body and my soul, and daily bringing more of myself home to my body, and to I guess what I would like to pinpoint would be to put just as much value to integration process as much as we put value on epiphanies and spiritual experiences. To allow ourselves to view integration as just important, and embodiment of that integration is just important, because I feel like this is where the missing little moment is when it comes to our evolution and responding to crisis, because the crisis that is happening outside is a reflection of the crisis that is happening in all of us, and we need to learn how to respond to crisis. And until we embody that knowledge and we really bring it down and integrate it, our ability to respond to crisis is not there. Not there, not as much as it could be if we really allow Earth to work through us. That's what I mean. Because I'm experiencing it not through the perfectionism lens, like, but you know what I mean. We are called to really just play and give attention to integration, at least in my personal process and the people that I observe around me. And my website is odnaexperience.com. That's where people can go to check my work and also enroll to Embodied Integration Program, which is part of Embodied Alchemists Lab, and this new platform, online platform that I created, that is catered to everyone who feels connected to movement as a form of expression, as a form of integration, and people who are curious about that becoming also their movement tool. And Embodied Alchemist is something that is growing to evolve into also a dance company and further creations, and definitely people who are going to be open and go through the first initiation process of this particular integration together will be also invited to come for the first retreat that I will be hosting in Egypt. So I do want people to connect first and go through a certain amount of work together with me before they come to Egypt, because I want people who come to Egypt to already be ready with their nervous systems to receive what this land can offer. Because if you're coming for a short period of time, trust me, you want to be prepared, so that you can actually receive all that there is to be received from the land and from the temples. If your nervous system and your body is not prepared and you didn't integrate already the lessons that you've so far had, then coming here will only be, might be just hard and actually disrupt the processes that you've been already going through, because it's gift that you can give to yourself to come here with closed chapters so that you can actually receive all that this land and the temples have to offer and can offer to your spiritual and embodied evolution.
Beautiful. I can't thank you enough for sharing authentically who it is that you are and what it is that you're bringing to the world, and this very, very special magic that you've unleashed and that you've made available to people who want to be themselves with you. So thank you for being here, and for everyone who can see the scrolling text at the bottom of the screen, odnaexperience.com is spelled out so that you can copy that, paste it into your browser, go there, have the experience, and really decide for yourself what it is that you want, what it is that you would like to glean from this amazing time that we've had to spend with you, Odna. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for just sharing all that you are.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. And I am really happy that I got to connect with both of you for the first time. Kaya, I know, but about you, Sarah, I just heard a lot. And I'm so happy to see you guys doing what you're doing. And thank you for your service and sharing this place where we can talk about those subjects openly and authentically, because that's also really important. And yes, I'm looking forward. Whoever in the audience is interested and would like to find out more, they can also directly reach out to me or through website, and let's integrate. It's fun.
Thank you again. And thank you everyone who's been watching. We appreciate you, and stay magical.
Thank you.